G'day punters, welcome to Getting the Jump Winter Racing. Marc Ohlmus, you're in good form last week. Caesar, Duke of Valentinois, and you had advertised there at Royal Ascot as well, but terrible form in your sports punting. You backed England to beat the Aussies at the World Cup. Shame on you.
Well, I got overs, Gerard, again. That's what this show's all about. I got $1.80, so I had to have something on the Poms, but I'm happy both ways. Australia won, and what are we, 6-1 now? But onto the racing, and yeah, last week was good, but let's look forward and try to get a few more. I mean, I'm done blowing my own trumpet, Gerard, so we'll move on.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of value in this Civic Stakes, the first race we're going to look at there from Rosehill Gardens on Saturday over the 1350. I mean, we went up for $5.50 each of 4 here as Seaway, Organza, First Hand and Galway. Early monies for Organza and also for Deploy. 10 into $7.50.
Deploy was super a couple of starts ago at Scone Fresh, wasn't it? Look, this race here, Gerard, I'm with New Tipperary at $26. This horse has run some enormous races fresh. It might not look that when you look at the raw first up statistics, but you go back and I had a look. Most recently, behind Best of Days, only beaten 2 lengths. Best of Days came out and won at Cantala, obviously. Before that, beaten by Tribal Wisdom. Osborne Bulls, funnily enough, in that race was second as well. And we also have coming through before that and Tom Melbourne in the Ritchie and the Liverpool prior to that. So he's running much tougher races than this. And with Deploy right up the top, really compresses the rest of the weights here, Gerard. I think he gets in quite nicely 2 trials. I think he can put in a performance fresh at around about $26.
Gee, it looks a tricky race. Leah Pari, I think, won it last year at odds as well. So,
J4, yeah.
All right, let's go to the Glasshouse Handicap. This one at the sunny coast. Good meeting there on Saturday. Should be pretty wet, though, in southeast Queensland or on that northern part of Brisbane there. 1,400 listed, and the market here, well, Jamaican Rain, last year's winner. They haven't missed it. 480 to 310 with Tab, Tegan Harrison from the soft draw coming out of the Tats Tiara Organza. So a dual accepted there on the next line. Keep an eye on what it's going to go, where it's going to go. Platinum Angel at 8, Chapter and Verse 850, 15 and longer the rest. And it's a wet Glasshouse on the cards.
I think so. Of course, Jamaican Rain won this race last year and has run really well since, it has to be said. And some punters have already gotten the jump on us, Gerard, by taking that price. We'll throw in Manea at $19, a mare by Hinchinbrook for Michael Costa. I thought first up really caught the eye, and you go back to last prep, some decent form lines around the likes of Tyre Zone. Last start, Willing to Forgive in the Waterhouse. Just thought, got over racing, got pulling a little bit early, and then just didn't have any sprint left and was a little bit held up towards the inside. And keeping in mind, it was backed into $2.60 in favourite. That's the big factor here. Now you're getting $19 about a horse that started a $2.60 favourite last start.
I remember it winning at Scone. I think it was on debut, and then we thought it could have been anything. Went off the ball, and Michael Costa's done a really good job with it there in Queensland. So I think it's a good play there at a big price, over-unders now. And, well, you got a few shorties beaten last week that you potted. We won't mention Brave Song, though. Don't worry, I promise you, Marc. But first, we're going to a fillies and mares race, race 4 at Rosehill over the 1,800. Where are we looking here?
In fairness, that was some ride by Blake
wasn't
as
it?
well. Anarchy, Gerard will start off with $41.
You do love an import having their first run in Australia. This is a Kiwi for Chris Waller having its first run.
Correct. Anarchy over 1,800 metres here. Trial wasn't anything to write home about. Fell out and then was really roused to the line. But this is a horse that contested a St. Ledger over there in New Zealand. Just first up over 1,800 metres. We've seen Chris Waller do this. He did it with one of our favourites here on Getting the Jump, High Bridge. Its first start in Australia, and it's a 4-miler. So we'll have a spec at $41. Tim Clark, not too many riding better. I'm expecting a cold ride from the 16. Get back, run on, and hopefully show something over 1,800 metres in this race, which again is very open.
Going to race 6 over the 1,200, and we're looking at one from the Kim War stable here.
Yeah, under the odds, 350. It opened up at Oxford TYCOON. Barrier 13, a sharp 1,200 around Rosehill. Could get caught deep, and I think this horse, I'm not sure in terms of connections, but could be heading towards a gelding operation.
Let's now go to Adelaide at Morpheville Parks and race over the 2,400 mark.
SASKO here, Gerard. All due respect, of course, apprentices are always learning their craft, but one thing that stood out to me with this horse, opened up $2.40. Yes, ran in the Ramsden 2 starts back, where Andrew Mallion had been riding it, and last start did get up for Kayla Crowther, who's quite an accomplished apprentice. Look, this horse here looks to be another go to the front, sit in the steer job for Chelsea McFarlane, but there are some likely types including Super Swoop, who I'm quite keen on this race, and Evan Colesberg second last start. Look, I just think it's a risk at the price. The apprentice will have to be holding on for dear life, and if it becomes a staying test, I think a few might get the better of SASKO.
Going further around the country, back to Queensland and to the Tab, Sunshine Coast Guineas. And where are we looking here?
Yeah, unbelievable to think that this is a race Winks.
I was about to say some other roll to this. So the
2015.
Bostonian, of course, won it last year. Cracked me up the year, but we were on a roll in recent years. And the greatest probably ever. 4 years ago?
Yeah,
5 years ago?
2015.
Yeah.
Baccarat Baby here, Gerard, $3. Unsure whether they'll run it or not. On the 7-day backup, had a very tough run in the Tats Tiara last week, 3 deep. But I'll tell you what, she's a very, very tough filly. You go back to her most recent run at the Sunshine Coast, where in that listed race for the 3-year-old fillies, she did use a little bit of petrol early doors, but was right there to the line, just nosing out word for word on that occasion. Just the 7-day back up from a Group 1 now to this listed race. It's a big ask. $3 seems short.
Yeah, you made a good case for that to be unders. Now let's go to TOTE'N around, and our play here is at Rosehill Gardens, where that big 6 pool projected to get to around the $100,000 mark for New South Wales Tab customers. Looks a difficult day there at Rosehill, and I see like it's $4.40 to field in the last leg there, and you put 2 in it. Yeah,
and you try to keep it as short as possible. England's come out there as well, so Pumpkin Pie I've put in, and obviously punters at home can choose which ones to throw in. I think Godolphin have a really strong hold on race 8 with Jordan, Wagner and Gongs. Of course, we've got the Civic thrown in 4 there with New Tipperary, First Hand, Organza and Galway. So we'll go 3 by 4 by 3 by 4 by 3 by 2.
Okay, $100 there for 11.5% odd. Now,
don't laugh at your 11.
It looks tough.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the early arrival. This is Marc's Overs Play of the Week. Where are we playing?
Mazaz in the Stays Cup over 2 miles, Gerard.
Rosehill Gardens.
At Rosehill. I can remember a horse called Tamby, which I backed formerly with Lloyd Williams. It went on to win an Adelaide Cup, its first look over 3,200 metres. This is Mazaz's first look over 3,200 metres, Gerard. And being by Galileo, I think it might be looking for that trip, and it looks to be set up for a race like this. It hasn't had any great heights of targets with the McKell and the Winter Cup. Winter Cup was a super run, and it did use a little bit of petrol, but just out to 2 miles, $11. I think we'll have a bet there. Robbie Dolan claims 2.
I'm staying at Rosehill as well in race 8. Wagner over the 1,100 metres, staying at that trip. Be Spiritual Pursuit last time out. Spiritual Pursuit's franked that form's gone back and had a nice trial since. Did get to around the $13 marks, now around 9. Tommy Berry, barrier 6.
He's always promised something, that horse.
Yeah, he certainly has. Like I say, Godolphin's got a big hand in the race, but I think it looks about over the odds. But Bon and Me in that race, incidentally, they have whacked it early doors, 8 into $4, and that was
not really surprising.
A few grand on it within a very short space of time.
Isn't it amazing how some of these country horses have really turned into, when acceptances and first markets come out, their go-to horses, like Bon and Me, Victorium, and the rest of them. Even looking at the Kosciuszko market early doors, Gerard, G shaping up to be a ripper.
Tickets on sale on Monday in New South Wales for on the tab app for New South Wales tab customers. Get your Kosciuszko tickets at your local. Marc, we'll do it all again next week.
Looking forward to it, Gerard.
Don't forget to catch us on the tab blog. Check out the words tips as well. Good luck, punters.